Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I want to have a discussion about the new Summit game mode that is currently running on the TU11 PTS for the Division 2. I'm sure you've seen a lot of videos regarding this topic over the last few days, and so part of the reason why I want to put my own out there, even though some of my ideas will likely overlap with some that you may have already heard from other content creators, is just that we really need to hammer in these certain changes that everyone kind of knows needs to happen for the devs to really hear it clearly, in the hopes that we can get these things changed before TU11 comes out. I've seen a lot of people say that the mode should be delayed or pushed back beyond TU11, and as much as I might, agree with that or think that that might be a good idea, I really don't think that devs are going to do that, because while a lot of us may think that that's what the best plan of action is, a lot of people would be very upset if the devs were to push it back. A lot of people who may not be in our own communities, they would be very angry about it, and it could further harm the game than, help it, even if they release a subpar game mode with this update. That being said, however, I don't think this necessarily has to be subpar, and I think a lot of the ideas I'm going to put forward here wouldn't take that much development time in order to really bring the mode up to at least a standard that we could all appreciate until it gets further worked on for future updates. So what I want to do with this video is give my top 5 changes that I think the Summit needs prior to TU11's release. I've ordered them from most doable and realistic to least doable and realistic, and so I think at least if 2 or 3 of these could get done, ideally the first 3 on this list, then I think we're in pretty good shape to have a good game mode on release that does feature some replayability and that will bring value to the overall game. So, with that said, let's just get right into it. I will preface this by saying, if you're unaware, I do play on console. I've not played Summit for myself, so I can't say any of this from personal experience. But since the PTS launched last Friday, I have been spending a lot of time watching other people's streams, watching other content creators' videos with their own thoughts, and I know the game well enough to be able to form my own opinion on this stuff without actually playing it myself, but I just did want to put that out there that I have not played the mode for myself. But like I said, I've taken in a lot of perspectives to form my own opinion and conclusion on the mode as it stands, so that's where I'm at in regards to that. So let's start out with the first thing I have on my list in what I believe would be the easiest and most doable thing they could do prior to TU11's release, and that they could, even put into the PTS for people to try out, and that is enemy compositions per floor. From what I've observed and seen other people talk about is that the enemy compositions seem very samey, especially on Legendary, and this could be a bug. Maybe they're going to come out on Wednesday on Stay of the Game and say that it is a bug, but if you go and watch like Legendary gameplay and even some heroic ones, I want to say, the enemy types are very similar. Like on Legendary, you pretty much only see assaults, whether they're, red, veteran, or elite. They're all that regular assault archetype. There's like no heavies, no drone operators, no dogs. There's really no variety. Like even though you're on Legendary and you have these directives on your objectives and missions, it's just playing the same enemies. You're able to take them out. Even if you take it slowly, you can just snipe from afar and take them out easily. There's no thought to it, there's no strategy, it's just grind away and take out the same enemy types, and that's really boring. So, especially for Legendary, but I've seen this happen on lower floors too, there really needs to be an emphasis on enemy compositions. There needs to be heavies and different types that make you play differently and move around the environments differently, since it's the same floors you're playing over and over. There needs to be some variety in order to bring that level of replayability and freshness when you're going from floor to floor, making your way up to 100. So that's what I see as being the easiest thing they can do, is just to clear up any bugs that may be there with that, or just increase the variety in enemy types that are coming at you. The next thing on my list is objective variations. I've seen a lot of people say that they would rather have environmental variations, which is on my list but further down. They'd rather have environmental variations in terms of more floor layouts. And while I do think that's also needed, I think what the more important thing is objectives, because I'm watching these streams and I'm seeing people get save the hostage, disable the warhounds like 3 times in a row. That's not very fun to me. I feel like there's a lot more they could do to bring, even if they just added like 3 to 4 more objectives. That would take the total amount to, I want to say 9 or 10 total, and at least then you have some more variety, right? I do like some of the ones that they have in there, like the EMP one from the Jupiter Manhunt mission. That's cool that that's in there. They have some of the skill deploying boxes like they had in the Keener mission, so there's definitely some creativity that's gone into these objectives, but at the same time, there's not enough of them to really make it replayable in my mind. As for what I think they could add, they could certainly do something like what you may have seen in some other games where you have, say, capture point A and B, and you have to go and hold each of them in order to complete the objective for that certain floor. So maybe you have to go and take A, and then the enemies are on B, you go clear B, And when you do that, maybe a few more enemies stack up on A and you have to retake that. Kind of you have to hold both objectives in order to complete the floor. Now, maybe that would be a little difficult on solo, or maybe that's too similar to the current hold the objective. I don't know. I just think there definitely needs to be a few more objectives in order for it to reach that replayability threshold that I think we really need this mode to achieve. And on top of that, one thing I wanted to mention with the objectives is that I think they really need to hammer down how prominent the objectives are in clearing the floor, because what I've seen a lot of people do is they get the ones where it's like clear the ventilation systems to get rid of the gas on the floor, and then you can just wait in the back, take out all the ads until they stop spawning, and then go hit the objective with no contest. Like, I think there definitely needs to be some sort of system where the ads will continually spawn until you complete this objective, because that way there puts some real emphasis on your own strategy and gameplay to be able to push up and complete that objective. Because right now I feel like there's not a lot of intensity with the mode other than clear all the ads, wait for them to stop spawning, then go do the objective. I really think that order needs to be looked at, and so hopefully that's something they can achieve on the PTS or before TU11's release. Alright, the third item on my list for realistic and doable things they could do prior to TU11's release is targeted loot. A lot of people have been saying that this needs to be changed, and the devs themselves on State of the Game said that they were up to changing how this system works as it pertains to Summit, right? The reason I have it this far down on my list, though, is because my idea for it might take a bit more development time than some other people's ideas. In some form, it needs to change, because right now it's just one singular target loot for the entire mode, and what a lot of people have pointed out is that if it's targeted pistols for the day, no one's going to go and play 50 floors of Summit when it's targeted pistols, right? There has to be some sort of draw for you to come in and play it to really give it that replayability factor. So what I think they should do, and my ideal solution, would be that the mode, when you clear certain floors and you kill ads, you acquire this currency, whether it's mode specific called, I don't know, Summit Bucks, like whatever. Just make it some Summit specific currency that then you can go to a vendor that's either in the lobby or on every 10th floor after the boss, that then you can buy target loot for the next 10 floors. So let me give an example. You clear floor 50, right? You get that boss, and now you're at heroic difficulty. So now, with the amount of currency you've saved up from doing the game mode thus far, you can travel, again, either back down to the lobby, or maybe they put the vendor in those secret rooms that have the chests after you beat the bosses, and then at that vendor you could buy floor 51 to 60 target loot, and then you can choose your own. So maybe you want to buy ARs for that 10 floors, or you want to buy Providence. You could set exactly what you want to farm for, and that way there's a real draw to go in there and do the mode, right? Because it has a lot of replayability and speed if you're efficient at it to really get the loot that you want, instead of having to go play, I don't know, Jefferson Trade Center that no one wants to do for that loot that you want. You can do it here, and it really incentivizes people to come back to this mode and keep playing it. I think this is a must, and the target loot, even if it doesn't go to that system, there has to be some change from what it is right now, because like I said, if it stays the way it is, it's just going to turn into, I'm not going to play Summit today because it's targeted Murakami or targeted, Badger Tough, whatever. Something has to change. That would be my ideal solution, but there are other ones out there. In some form, it really needs to change before TU11 comes out. Next up, for my fourth item on this list of realistic and doable solutions for Summit prior to TU11 is a boss wave rework. The current way that bosses are in Summit is that every 10 floors, you just get tossed out some random name boss. There's no mechanics, there's no specialty to them. It's like clear the ads and then a boss spawns out of a door. You can just door spawn him, kill him right there. Nothing to it. You clear him, move on. I really think there needs to be something more special with bosses, at least on Legendary, because I was watching Wids and then do Legendary. They got to floor 90, 90 for the boss wave, and it's just some random named assault on Legendary, health and damage numbers. Like, there was nothing special to it. There was no District Union type mechanics for the boss. There was nothing. So I really think at the very least, for maybe Heroic and Legendary, there needs to be some specialty to these bosses to make them both memorable and challenging as a way to finish off the 10 floors that you just did that are supposed to come in a package, right? They sold it as every 10 floors is like a stronghold experience. So at the end of this, there really needs to be something memorable. So what I think they need to do is, out of their pool of bosses, make each one have some sort of small mechanic to it. Whether it's like on Lincoln Memorial, where you can't damage the guy until you get his backpack, or they create some sort of new pseudo mechanics for the mode specifically. They just need to do something, right? And especially for Legendary, they need to have some sort of specialty in these bosses, whether it's similar to District Union, where the guy is the Death Pulse and you have to destroy his backpack. They have to have something, because as it stands now, it's just boring to get there's nothing special about it. There's nothing different between a floor 65 where you clear the ads and floor 70 where you kill a boss. Like, there's nothing special about it, and I think that needs to change, especially if they're going to put these chests that take keys behind boss kills. There should be something special about the boss so you feel rewarded when you get that chest. Now again, this is further down on my list because I think A, it's probably not their priority out of other things on the list, and B, it could be kind of hard to create these mechanics, just for these bosses. But personally, I think this would be really nice to see improve over the current state, and so hopefully they find a way to work it in for TU11's release of the Summit. And then last up, which other people have said plenty of times, more environmental variation. The reason I have this at the least realistic or doable thing for them to put in before TU11's release is because making these environments take time. I don't know if a lot of people understand that, but I think even over adding more objectives, this would take more time because you have to conceptualize it, you have to render it, and I'm not going to act like I know the process, but I just know that creating environments takes more time than some people may imagine, even if it's small, like a single floor of a skyscraper, right? That being said, though, we definitely need more than what there currently is, and I'm not entirely sure if we are currently on the PTS seeing the full range of what floors they have available, because on State of the Game, I don't remember if it was Mackenzie or Nikki who said this, but someone said that there are dozens of different floor layouts that it slots in randomly each time you go up. And from what I've watched on different streams and what I've heard even Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear say on his Player State of the Game podcast is that there seems to only be like 6 to 8 different floors. So I don't know if that's actually the entirety of the floors they have planned to put in, or if there are more that they're saving for full release or later PTS phases. But either way, there needs to be more. There needs to be, I've seen, people mention restaurants, nightclubs, different things you would find in the different floors of a skyscraper, just some more variation. It also really sucks that there's no windows in the skyscraper, and I know why it's that way. I've seen what's at the top. So if you don't want to hear this, just spoilers for the next 30 seconds or so. At the top of the skyscraper and the summit on floor 100, you get to the observation deck. You can't see any of the city. It's covered by clouds. You maybe see one building sticking up over it. It's because they didn't want to take the development time to, pan out the whole city and let you see everything. So there's no windows as you go up, which is pretty claustrophobic and doesn't really make you feel like you're climbing a skyscraper, and that sucks. But I don't think we're going to get something with windows unless they redesign the entire thing. So we can just hope for restaurants, nightclubs, that sort of thing to be implemented in to make it feel more varied than it is currently with, offices and construction floors. Hopefully we get more of that, whether it's just they haven't put them in yet or they need to design them. But again, I think that's lower on their list of realistic changes and priorities necessarily for the mode coming up. All right, everyone. Well, I think that about concludes my list and discussion regarding Summit, at least in its current form for PTS Phase 1. I am pretty confident that at least some of these things will change by the time the PTS concludes and we see it released with TU11. The target loot and at least the enemy compositions, I'm assuming that's a bug, some of that stuff. So yeah, we're going to see a lot of that changed. But again, it's important that we get all of our thoughts out there so that the devs really know what we think and what we all want changed. So again, even though you may have seen some of these other ideas already out there, I just wanted to get mine out as well so that we can get as many ideas and reinforcements of ideas out there as possible so that they can see what we want changed. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video and be sure to subscribe with notifications on so you can be updated every time I upload. Head down to the comments and let me know your own thoughts on my, top 5 list here of what needs to be changed. Let me know what you think is the most important thing that gets changed with Summit prior to its release. Keep in mind that they are working on a few weeks of time here before the update actually launches, so even though some things might be, more longer term goals, like I know Yannick tweeted out today that they are looking to improve Summit beyond TU11, keep in mind when you're thinking about, what you would most ideally like to see changed, they do have to keep it somewhat realistic as to what they could do prior to its release. But yeah, I think that about does it, guys. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Have a great day, and until the next one, guys, RogueGold out.